It's another episode of Builddaburg Music Group, Crease Watching Podcast. I'm your host, Forever B, along with my co-host, Prince Lawyer. And today we'll be discussing the latest episode that Cameron put out. He's a part of a show called It Is What It Is. And this is a podcast that he puts out, him along with the rapper Mace. And there was an interesting topic that came up recently. He had a guest on his show. I want to say it was his baby mother, and it was a confrontation that was going back and forth in relation to um, their relationship and certain factors that may have resulted to them separating and going separate ways. Um, so we're going to kind of speak on some of the issues or some of the topics that were spoken about within that episode. Before we get started, how you doing today, good brother?
Oh man, doing pretty good here, brother. On
Question.
top of the ground, I ain't on the bottom of it.
That's right. No question,
Mhm.
bro. Fact.
Mhm.
And likewise, my brother. Yeah, I've been hearing speaking about this weather that's going on around in the
Mhm.
world. So we're all trying to stay at peace here at the moment, my brother, and see how that kind of turn out, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
hmm
Definitely.
Yeah. But I noticed that you had pretty sure you was able to look into the episode as well. Am I correct?
True indeed.
Where yeah, a few different things kind of stood out to me. Um, so we can kind of tap into. I know one of the situations that I seen what he was speaking about investing into the woman. Right, and he didn't feel like he had needs to invest into her due to the fact that her investments are things that she wanted to do maybe wasn't something that interested him or wasn't good investments that Cam stated inside of the podcast. And she was kind of refuting some things in reference to it. Um, but I was just dealing with aspects of investments in in the woman. Because sometimes it is an indication that men are just supposed to always just invest and just invest and just invest into the woman and not necessarily be nothing come back in return from it. In some aspects, we consider to be more of a liability in more cases. But in some reference, the woman may think in times that because she just with us, then automatically those things are something that we supposed to do for her. You know? It's a different day and time that we in with this whole relationship factors and how males and females relate to each other, the different bearings and different responsibilities that each other may have to have within a relationship with each other. I've been noticing that is something that's really is a challenge for us as a people, especially those who look like us. Um, find ourselves a lot of times bickering and beefing against and fighting against one another about things opposed to being able to come together and relate with one another. Mm, Um, so that was one of the things I definitely saw in there that I thought that was very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, yeah, I found it very interesting too, brother. I said that definitely be a great topic. As far as just the relationship status of us as a people. Uh, somewhat complicated these days. Somewhat a lot of you got one acting one way and the other. Just like the man acting like the woman and the woman acting like the man. It's a
Mm,
reversal in the roles these days, and it's
mm,
it's somewhat uh everybody being confined to what they supposed to provide or bring to the table in a more the physical part of the relationship is being more dominant than the intimate part of the relationship. That's
mm.
what I see, and that's what I'm seeing out of it too, brother. That's what I took out of
mm.
it.
Right, most definitely. And you definitely do have that. And I also recognize that she stated that by him being a man, he's supposed to just naturally provide for her, because
Hmm.
she lay down with him, I guess, from their perspective by having sex with a man. a man
Mhm.
automatically supposed to take care of them just because they have these type of possessions. You know,
Mhm.
as if the man don't have anything to offer. You know,
Mhm.
but for some reason, because it's been taught, and we mostly as men has taken on the responsibility as being providers
Mhm.
as well as the protectors, but in this case, providers. A lot of them look at that as being natural, and it's just something that we automatically supposed to do without anything being given back in return. For the
Mhm.
aspects of equality, right?
Mhm.
Like, for instance, she said that she would like him for him to invest into her, or he didn't invest into her ideals. But was the ideal the things that were substantial enough to be able to bring certain things inside the home?
Mhm.
Now, if I'm dealing with a woman and she tell me she want to invest into uh, flowers, she
Mhm.
wanna she wanna she wanna do flowers. Mm.
Mhm.
I may not have no issues with supporting her and her ventures and wanting to deal with the flowers.
Mhm.
But me personally, I would support her in it, but I would also allow her to know that we're gonna have to still find possibly another revenue base when we're talking about that as being a something of value or something that we can invest into to look for great returns to come back from. And like one
Mhm.
thing to put your money just invested into something, another thing to put your money into something that's substantial enough or something that's going to be able to bring back some type of revenue or some type of earnings back from it. But mostly it's flowers is why I use flowers because if I had to deal with that, if she can't leave out flowers, I would say, yeah, we could get into the flowers. That might be something that she is involved in. But I don't know how
Mhm.
much we could invest in flowers because of what? Flowers normally don't sell until Valentine's Day,
Mhm.
right? So I may look around the whole year and I'm trying to
Mhm.
figure out how I'm gonna continue to get my money back from what we done invested into it or get our money back from what we have put into it. And
Mhm.
in return, the investment is the bad investment, right?
Mhm.
So that's something that I want to invest into long term, or is it something that I'm just investing into because that's something that she wants to do and I should be in support of it, you know?
Mhm.
But I looked at Cam and I think what Cam was saying was that the thing that she wanted to invest into was not something that he saw that was valuable enough for something that he felt was necessary for him to invest into because he didn't really
Mhm.
to it, or possibly her in that
Mhm.
respect.
Mhm.
Because that was the other another thing I kind of stood out to me as well through that
Mhm.
conversation.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yeah. Um, I definitely agree, because when I managed to take up business, uh I learned I learned something that was very important in the business aspect of the real entrepreneurship or stepping into the business. Um, First of all, you gotta understand supply and demand. You know,
okay.
especially if you taking off the ground, especially if this is your first business, especially if there's something you like you said from the understanding which I got from her, she was saying that would be her first business, whatever she was talking about getting invested in, because she was trying to say as though he didn't ever invest in her. And
Mm,
he was telling her, like you said, brother, that he was he was he didn't like her ideas of her investments. Okay, that's cool and that's peace. But we'll get back to that, my brother. But the point I'm making is that on the aspect of business, you got to understand supply and demand. So it's not about when you far as you opening a business, it's not about per se what you want to do. See, that's where a lot of people fail it. They wanna open a business as something they actually want to do, but that
mm,
won't may not be it may not be a demand for it in the economy at the time. The demand may be low and the supply may be high.
mm,
So now if you got a low demand for something and a high supply, that wouldn't be the field you would want to go in the first aspect of business.
Right.
You That would be something more like a business for someone who already got businesses that's already flourishing, that's already
Mhm.
got revenue, and they can
Mhm.
live off their other businesses. And they say, well, like you said, the flowers. Well, you know what? I
Mhm.
always have like flowers, and there's just something
Right.
I want to do.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
that would be something you can invest in, far as after you already have something going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the supply and demand in flowers, I mean, truthfully, the supply is gonna always be kind of high with flowers because they grow. They grow
Mhm.
naturally. You get what I'm saying? So basically, flowers are free, so to speak.
Right.
You can go find them and pick them and sell them. So it's like the supply gonna always be great, and the demand ain't gonna be high for flowers, like you said, until Valentine's Day or funeral
Right.
something of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
so that would make that business of flowers not a lucrative thing. If I was him, if she said something to me about flowers, and I said,
Right.
if we starting out, baby, just because you like flowers and you want to do a business with flowers, don't mean that that's something that's going to be good for revenue, far as the economy concerned. So you want to
Right.
look for the supply and demand factor. You
For
want to
sure.
look for something that has a higher demand and a lower supply,
Mhm.
or at least have a balance on. But
Indeed.
that would be the goal in that. So I understand what the brother was saying. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he understood the supply and demand factors of whatever she was talking about investing in.
Right. Hmm. Most definitely. I'm also curious to know if you ever invested in her at all. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because sometimes we do have a lot of brothers out here that will be with their women, but they also will be
Mhm.
trying to hold them back. You know,
Yeah.
and in some cases, that still is unrighteous. You know, because
Hmm.
you're supposed to see to try to give that person the best opportunity to see or the best version of yourself that you can be for that person. You
Uh
know,
huh. Indeed.
when a person come together, when two people come together, that's supposed to be a natural bond for them to build together and grow to become one. Mm. But you have some brothers out here also who may be dealing with a lot of lack of self esteem, lack of self confidence, maybe certain things that he don't have exactly all going right within his own relationship. So therefore, he's now insecure, or he been in a previous relationship and something bad turned out with that relationship. So now, while he's in a new relationship, he now is paranoid and he's having other factors that is keying in because of past relationships. So now he want to keep his woman and pull her back or keep her
Uh huh.
minimized, right?
Hmm.
For example, I
Hmm.
know some guys who may have heard things about his wife early on, a woman that he messed with early on, but he ended up marrying the woman. Mm. But he knows certain things about her that has him in an insecure state.
Hmm.
Like he knows that she had a past, but he married to her now. He love her. He want to trust and believe in her, but he don't want to give her as much room to be able to go out and be able to do these things. So now he might be a point where he's taking care of the majority of things in the home,
Hmm.
and he puts all the gas in the car.
Uh huh.
So throughout the week, you make sure $25 in the car, just enough for you to get to the job, maybe you a couple of dollars from some gas, from some lunch money, and just enough to keep you at a certain position. He might have her there with an ill intent because he fears that if she goes out or sees someone else who may be able to do some things better than him, then she will all off and leave him.
Uh
So to
huh.
keep
Uh huh.
him,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
he pigeon feed her, so to speak.
Hmm.
So Some individuals do those things also. I can't say that was Cam's intent because the brother does have finances, but it still doesn't mean that he has finances that he still ain't striving to now see how much worth she worth. That how much is she worth? You
Mm-hmm.
know, brothers do that too in some form. You know, based off of some women having a tendency of being what they might label as gold diggers. Some
Mm-hmm.
women come in with these big expenses. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so now the guy is now looking to see if she's with him for him or she with him because of the bag. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it'd be very strange that goes on there. But I would have liked to definitely know if he had even invested in her with anything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Because that means a
Mm-hmm.
lot too as a male if you're supposed to be dealing with a woman and you see her might be lacking in certain areas, especially if you're an entertainer, you got more money than she got. You would
Mm-hmm.
hope that you're striving to do something for her or put her in a position where she can feel good about certain things that she's doing so she can look or think that she's contributing something to the cause. Right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you got millions and millions of dollars, and you say, of course I ain't expecting you to pay the bills in the home if you got all the money and I ain't got but $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
But my 1,000 I would still have to share some with you just to show you the equality unless I'm a woman. Because the
Mm-hmm.
last thing a person want to do is what? Don't bring nothing to the table, and then now leave
Mm-hmm.
room for individuals to start throwing stones at them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it still ain't never good to come in a relationship and not try to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard her make that same um, mistake and said that
Mm-hmm.
inside of her interview
Mm-hmm.
about the only that because she had what she had and she basically lays down with him,
Mm-hmm.
he naturally supposed to take care and provide for her now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you as a woman shouldn't want a man to do everything for you either.
True indeed.
It, it should be a time that you want to do certain things also for yourself just to show and prove your worth.
True indeed. Oh, definitely.
Just so I want to add in on that, good brother.
Oh, definitely. I'm glad you touched on that because I was thinking the same thing.
Mm,
Truthfully, I was thinking that too. I mean, because it's it, that brother kind of hard to read sometimes,
mm,
but maybe he do got those characteristics. It's funny you
mm,
say that because it seemed like he maybe do have those kind of characteristics.
mm.
As
Right.
far as like maybe she maybe because she know he on the platform and she do got children by him or whatever. Maybe she didn't want to take it to that extent because at the same time he may be providing something for her. See what I'm
Mm-hmm,
saying? But at the same
mm-hmm,
token, I'm like you. Maybe he was trying to keep her in a certain spot, you know, for the
mm-hmm.
control.
Right.
Because a lot of men, we know a lot of men will do that. They'll they'll
Mm-hmm,
they'll keep a woman in a certain spot. That way they can have the control because they don't really got the power inside of themselves. They don't
mm-hmm.
got that confidence inside of themselves. They don't got the knowledge of themselves. So they be
Right.
insecure in ways. And
Mm-hmm,
these the ways that men display their insecurities is by reflecting themselves upon her to be greater than her and keep her in a certain position to where he can control her or dominate her in a certain aspect. So in the aspect of him, you know, it, just listening to him on a lot of different things, and then going and seeing how he dealing with Dame, with Damon Dash. It kind of make me feel he might have those kind of qualities about himself. But at the same token, I do understand what he was saying to her about he didn't see her the aspect in which she's striving to bring about the business or whatever she's striving to do for her to invest in. I do understand him saying that he didn't see her investment as being a wise investment. But at the same token, I still gotta ask myself. I said, well, if you didn't see that investment of her being a wise investment, why didn't you offer her something that you did see as being a wise investment? You know, so
Mm-hmm.
you get what I'm saying? It still shows something because if my woman is wanting to do something productive with herself on an entrepreneur level, I'm gonna encourage her to do it, and I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna have her back. And if something don't work right, or if that ain't something that's I can see being profitable, then that means I can let her know some things that could be profitable. I would share this kind of
Mm-hmm.
information with her. So for you just to say, nah, I ain't supporting that right there, baby. That ain't gonna do nothing. Okay, yeah, that's one thing. But like we always say, you got to build and destroy. So if you destroy that vision for her, then you should have brought back another vision for her that would be that you could see some profit in. So that would
Right.
be the equality. That would be the equality in it. Don't just destroy her and leave her there. If you destroy something negative, you got to build with something positive. So if you ain't see nothing good in that, he should have gave her something good that he could see. So that dude showed me some. I kind of gotta go with her to that extent because my thing is if you if you if you with a woman and we know how women can move things easier than men. You know that's the gift they got. You know they can make
Mm-hmm.
things turn. They more productive on the aspect of moving things into existence. That's why you see so many uh, uh, young black females entrepreneurs these days. They able to make things happen a lot quicker and a lot more because they more sociable. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
socialize more. They into more of these type of things. So it's easier for them to move a brand or move a product. That's one thing you want in your corner. If you striving to move something in an entrepreneur aspect, you definitely want a female in your corner. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because she gonna make sure it go. If nobody else gonna get it to go, it's gonna get going with her on your side. You know, we always know that a great king ain't no greater than his wisdom, his woman. So you
Yep.
know, the greater your woman is, the greater you gonna be. You know, in that aspect. So you know what he should have did was offer her some intelligence on something that would be able to grow
Right.
instead of just
Right.
denying her from where she was going. He should have gave her some more inspiration. Now, like you said, I don't really know the full context on on her as an individual. Maybe he may know something that we don't know about her. You know, and maybe and maybe he was scribing to keep her in a certain spot where he can keep that control. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because in their world, you see it all the time. Now we do see it all the time. We see a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these brothers that bring these sisters along for the ride, and then the sister end up having a bigger ride than them. You know what I mean? You know, you call yourself taking the sister to the NBA games like Gorilla and what's the other one? Megan Thee Stallion.
Man,
You know,
Megan, yeah.
they going to all these NBA games now, but check it
Mm-hmm.
out. It's a good and it's a bad in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you really doing is now you also better know what you're doing because you introducing her to another world now. You put her in
Mm-hmm.
the aspect on the NBA court. There ain't never men out there now
Mm-hmm.
with money just like you. Maybe money better than yours. Maybe can shoot better than you. Maybe can dunk harder than you. So at the end of the day, some kind of way you in. If they end up breaking up for some, I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. You'll find out that
Mm-hmm.
Gorilla or Megan will be with another NBA star.
Right.
So
No
some
question.
kind of way. So
That's right.
maybe Cam was scared of that too at the time. Like I said, maybe he
Mm.
didn't want her he didn't want to introduce her into that world because he know he
Mm-hmm.
might lose her. Like you said, it might have been his fear for losing her.
Mm-hmm.
But
Could be.
once again, coming from myself, a man shouldn't have that kind of fear because if you got that fear of losing her, either she ain't never been with you anyway, or
Mm-hmm.
you ain't never been with you.
Mm,
So if you
right.
got that kind of feel, then it's a problem with either her or you or both. So something ain't solid anyway. Because if I shine, I want mine to shine.
Absolutely.
Period.
Fact. Real. That's how it's supposed to be. You know, supposed
So
to be
you,
woman. If
yeah.
ain't no woman, then it ain't no peace anyway. Like you
Mm-hmm.
say. You know, so I would hope that he was trying to invest into her and allow her to at least be able to display the best version of herself that she possibly could. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but like you say, a lot of brothers do have motives. You know what I mean? And all of them motives don't be pure with good intent. You know, cause I was just listening to some of the way they was going back and forth in a sense. You know, you could tell that maybe off the camera they kind of be sarcastically going at each other. You know, and then I also saw, which I still got the way a little bit towards his side too, because the way the action showed more of a sister that deal with a lot of defense. You know, a lot of these sisters who don't have the discipline or the patience that you sometimes look for within these women in order still to get the humility so from them and to still be able to stay at a level of peace with each other. You know, because some of these women, and like she was, you saw the body language and the, and the, so if that's going on television, can we imagine what's going on behind the phone? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? When they in their own little zone,
Yeah.
she's probably saying all type of things out the side of her mouth, and it seems like she the type of sister that like to react off of things, just react without thinking per se. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like boom, 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 and so I can see that a little bit too within them. And our women have to learn how to be more patient when it comes down to that. I can understand that, we all in the culture have issues going on for us, maybe how we feel about certain things, certain conditions, how we are at times. And definitely the woman has to fight that just as more than a man do because by nature she's somewhat emotional, right? She deal with that type of nature within herself. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But the women have to learn how to be more disciplined in that respect so they can be a best version of themselves to the man they can be. Mm. Because like any situation, it don't matter whatever circumstance you in, if a person incites something,
Mm-hmm.
it can eventually lead to something else,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why it's a law against inciting riots. You got somebody out
Mm-hmm.
there and show so he crying, he hollering and fussing about what somebody did something to him. It could be fake crying. But the
Yeah.
mere fact that he's speaking of this type of terms and he's in this type of way, it can cause
Mm-hmm.
others to start to get into this same type of frenzy. So it's the same
Mm-hmm.
scenario. I mean, if you're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
a man and you know that he's already maybe an emotional man, because some men are
Mm-hmm.
emotional too, it,
Mm-hmm.
it might not be wise for both of us to be dealing with the emotion at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Women have to learn and will have to learn because they want to. I mean, the way society is designed, they already trying to put themselves either beyond a man or at least beside a man. So if they're gonna carry that role and characteristic, I would think that you all may need to go back now and start trying to master that form of discipline on how to be able to conduct yourself in a time when you see the man is kind of going off, so to speak, when he
Mm-hmm.
bringing the justice, where you can
Mm-hmm.
still stay in your position and still allow him to vent and get whatever he need out of him, so he can get to some relief and some peace in himself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
'cause a lot of times you don't even recognize that the man be going through the issues himself that he has going on. You have some women around you don't even give the man no good word of encouragement. Don't don't strive to be there to support him in some form. Some of them are just like he better come with the money, he better have this and he better have that. If he ain't got that, it's gonna be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to learn how to start balancing each other out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Opposed to always striving to see what we can get from each other, a tick for tack type of thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, in my view, all relationships should be that equally in the sense for the aspects of our responsibility to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know our responsibility, and I would hope that you're a woman. Again, maybe if I, I'm making, I mean, we being realistic here.
Mhm.
If I'm wealthy and I'm rich, and again you're gonna make it $1,000 a week,
Mhm.
I ain't gonna ask you to pay for no bills. I mean,
Mhm.
uh, we go out to eat, restaurant, we do a few things on the little small side. If you want to pay for the tip, maybe pay for my food in that respect. Okay, that's peace. I mean,
Mhm.
but I'm not gonna try to put no major expenses on you, knowing that I already have a pretty
Mhm.
nice sized bag.
Mhm.
If anything, I'm gonna try to open up a door and put you in that door, and hopefully you can walk right on through it.
Mhm.
And when you do walk through that door, don't be a so-called Negro and
Mhm.
say, and grab the phone with the bag, and all of a sudden you with Tom, so-called Dick and Harry. No, I'm looking stupid and crazy, right? I will hope that won't be the issue. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm investing into something in someone that I know is also for us. You know what I mean? Because so that we talk about some of these men, that's what they feel. That a woman can get on a get her money up, get to a certain level where she no longer need him no more, right?
Mhm.
And you would hope that you don't have a woman like that, but we must be realistic. We got a lot of people out here who are wicked,
Mhm.
who are just trying to get what they want.
Mhm.
They're gonna ride it long, they can ride it.
Mhm.
And if he ain't riding right,
Mhm.
if he ain't riding strong, she gonna ride out anyway. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
that's the way it go.
Mhm. Mhm.
But at least give him a chance to ride it out.
Mhm.
You know, some of them don't even give it the opportunity or the chance. They already know they want to throw away out anyway, or they already looking for something just to be able to relieve them from it. They got what they want from it. Got the car. What I mean? Got the money, got the bag back up, got the credit good. You know what I mean? Got a couple of thousand of his dollars in the pocket.
Mhm.
The bonus in the breast scrap. You know, she good. Like he was speaking about earlier. That's what that's the first thing she's doing. See, no disrespect, they call us alphas and no all respect. Some of them even call us dogs and predators, right? But when you really look at this science and you look at the whole magnitude, at least in what society is set today, I would have to say that the woman is really the predator. Truthfully,
Mhm.
woman say, "Well, come on now, brother Phil. How you gonna come with that
Mhm.
one?" Just what the sister said earlier. The sister said that on that episode that because she lay down with him and she basically give him sex and do what she had to do for him on that level, she entitled.
Mhm.
That is automatic that he provide something for her now because she can give it up.
Mhm.
That's not a good narrative for us to be standing on.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's the way that you women are thinking, then
Mhm.
where will be when men start looking at you just that way.
Mhm.
And I'm starting to even notice, we counselors, we deal with a lot of people here and there from various
Mhm.
places. I had a situation
Mhm.
came up a couple of weeks ago, and it was
Mhm.
something similar to that,
Mhm.
where the guy i- is into the relationship with the woman, but then the woman, she's dealing with certain things that she's not doing correct, but then she expecting that man to stay there in return with her. Um,
Mhm.
She out. You want to say she might be cheating. She's not being as active with the man. He's seeing signs of certain things that's going on. But in her mind is that what? I got it locked down.
Mhm.
You ain't doing nothing. I got you. I give it to you when you want to have it. So
Mhm.
in her mind, she ain't got to do no work.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
For her, to stop right there.
Mhm.
But that's an ill intent.
Mhm.
Because as long as you get him locked in, as long as he with you, you ain't got to put in no work now.
Mhm.
And, and,
Mhm.
and somehow he's supposed to just sit and cater and just drool over you and everything that you got going on,
Mhm.
you don't give nothing back in return
Mhm.
to that of substance.
Mhm.
So women, we got to get out of that. Women, we got to learn how to be
Mhm.
more valuable, more active in the man's life. Let the man feel like he has some value and worth as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Most definitely. Cause I'm glad you said it. I also caught what he said when she said something about she was getting a degree, some kind of degree, and he
Mm,
said she said she been working on the degree since 19 and it's 26. He said, "Why you ain't got it yet?"
mm,
So I caught it. So it made me think by him saying it, he was telling her in so many words, "You be playing,
mhm,
you faking," you
mm,
know, and at the same time, it's a good chance he got something to do with that. He might have had some money behind that as well. Okay, but
mm,
like you said, brother, we not we not we not saying like you said, brother. We didn't already cover both aspects. We covered the ground of the men too. Matter of fact, we got on the
mm.
man first. We got
No
on him
question.
first. Yeah, we got on the
That's right.
man first. We men, so it ain't no woman bashing thing because we got on the man first.
That's right.
But we do know that women today have a complex called entitlement.
Mm.
Um, red, yellow, black, brown, blue, purple, pink, polka dots,
Mhm,
Christian, Islamic, Buddhist, Hindu. I mean, women in general, they have a complex, uh, and it's called uh, it's a it's what you what it okay when you break that entitlement down, you get a sense of no humility.
mhm,
Entitlement is the opposite of humility
mhm,
in a way. In a way, I'm gonna break that
mhm,
down because why I say that is um when a man do something for you, it ain't no rule say he had to do that. It ain't no rule say he got to do that. But see, some kind of reason in they mind, they think he has to do these things.
mhm,
Okay. And I know a lot of that entitlement comes from the way this economy is ran, the way this government is ran, by giving those females a sense of power, a fake sense of power that put them in a position to be over the man in certain ways, you know. So it allow for them to only feel like that a man's supposed to do these things. They think that because they got big buttocks or big
mhm,
breasts, you know, they got that fire, you know.
mhm,
They think that that's pretty much that's all they really gotta have. Now, so
mhm,
in their mind, if they bringing something else to the table besides that, oh yeah,
mhm.
and that, oh yeah, you definitely gotta come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely gotta come in because I got these,
Yes,
I
sir.
got that fire,
Mhm,
and I got a job,
mhm,
and I got my own car.
mhm,
Man, look here. What you got? Cause I'm the
mhm,
one got to go. I got it, you know. But once again, that's a sense of that's a ego. That's what you call ego
mhm.
trip.
That's right.
So you put yourself in a position of being greater than someone else when you do that. You know, it's a difference between knowing your value and your worth and belittling someone else's value and worth to magnify your own. It's a difference.
Mhm,
There's nothing wrong with knowing your value, but always remember the person across from you has value as well.
Question.
You know, so you have to keep in mind that we both have value. Okay, it's like I heard comedian Mike Epps. He was doing a comedy show and he was talking about how the women
Mm,
was they don't like to apologize.
mm,
And
right.
when he said that, all the women started laughing. You know, all the women started actually laughing. So I said to myself, for them to start laughing, they must have knew that what he was saying was true, or they was in agreement with it. You know, but through the years, I come to find out that that may be somewhat true. You
Right.
know, because I mean, at this point in my life, I have dealt with different females, and one thing they all had in common was that they did find it hard to apologize when they were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times they try to bring about their apology through sex.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of them saying I'm sorry, I apologize. I have noticed that the women do find it very hard to say they're sorry,
Mm,
and
mm,
that within itself is not good because a man. The difference is a man say he's sorry so fast because it's like it just in our nature to just say we sorry so quick. Like sometimes we might not even really been wrong, but we'll say we sorry just because your feelings hurt.
no question.
But it need to be reciprocated. So what we saying is it's a dominance found in women right now today that isn't good. It's too
Indeed.
much dominance in it. It's too much masculinity in these
Mm,
women's stance these days. They done they their self worth or their representation of their self or their knowledge of self, it has become overwhelmed with masculinity. They don't understand that you can still be in your womanhood and still represent that feminine self
mhm,
without actually acting masculine.
right. Mm, absolutely, brother. Ain't no question. And I'm grateful that you also spoke about that because I just saw a clip maybe about an hour ago. Somehow this female was dealing with this guy, supposed to be her boyfriend. I want to say the young man was like 26, and the girl that was involved maybe was like 24 years of age. Somehow the guy was cheating, must be with another female. Of course, they got it today where you could put the location. So the girl saw where his location was at. She pulled up on them where they was at or whatever. She said I could cut the words to him. Guy must be had said something like, "Well, go ahead on and get my face or whatever. I don't care." Do you know the female went into her scrap, pulled out a gun, and shot the brother and shot the girl and killed them both? And she got 80 years today.
Mm, mm,
80 years, brother. You know, killed
mm,
two people. She killed a 26-year-old man and a 24-year-old girl, a
mm,
young female, and they give her
mm,
80 years.
mm,
Yep. All because of the emotions that we speaking about and wanting to put her into this you want to be a masculine man and you want to be that so bad. You
mm,
don't recognize what you even putting yourself into. You
mm,
know, all your spirits for a reason, but even men, we don't like the war. We
mm,
don't we don't get off by fighting somebody and raising hell with someone.
mm, mm,
We have to do either for protection purposes or what we refer to as respect.
mm,
If you don't respect in some aspects, then it's still war. Cause he gonna take everything I got. You gonna walk all over that individual if he don't
mm,
get that. You know? But you have so many women today. that are carrying that masculine energy that you're talking about want to be pro D dominant, miss so
Mhm.
called independent, but
Mhm.
making rational decisions that she in most cases would be able to balance herself out with if she had a male counterpart or somebody who's there to still help guide her on how to be able to balance that out. Mm.
Mhm.
But nowadays, they done saw so many of the movies and so many different scenarios, and they've been taught in society now allow us to just to be able to open and carry. And like you
Mhm.
speak about, most sisters never had. A lot of sisters don't got no federal, no felony charges on their records. A lot of them never
Mhm.
been in anything up until the.
Mhm. Mhm.
But since
Mhm.
society changed today in the way that it started to evolve, the old ways of things, when woman would sit back and let the man be the provider, not even the provider in this case, but the protector in this situation, if you ain't careful nowadays, the woman is the guy. The guy has to go to the woman and calm her down about his situation.
Uh-huh.
So it won't escalate itself to that point of warfare because to her, it may be something big because of her nature
Mhm.
to take something small and make it big. When he's looking at the situation like, it's not that serious. Sweetie.
Uh-huh.
It ain't like that. Oh, you can let me do
Uh-huh.
that and end up doing what we talked about earlier, a citing issue,
Mhm.
right? Putting energy in something that really don't have to be, but because you get it more from your physical or your feelings opposed to your logic and
Mhm.
your ability to reason within the logic.
Mhm.
Has a lot of us doing crazy things that are affecting our lives in many ways than one.
Mhm.
We have to learn how to be more balanced in how we even deal and conduct ourselves, whether you got a man or not.
Mhm.
But you can't just run around thinking that somebody don't you don't like the way somebody uh, is approaching you or how you dealing with the situation for you just to be able to think you can just go and just jump on them and shoot them and kill them and just beat them up just because.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
that's a quick way for you to be in prison for the rest of your life not suffering. And
Mhm.
with all respect to that dear sister, who 80 years, who got the 80 years, and I hate it for her.
Mhm.
But she was after a man and killed
Mhm.
a female.
Mhm.
It very likely when she get in there, she would then eventually be into females.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Like that old life that she thought she was gonna live long,
Uh-huh.
it goes out the door.
Uh-huh.
And that
Mhm. Mhm.
American dream, that
Mhm.
American dream that you thought was American dream, became your worst nightmare
Mhm. Mhm.
in one sentence.
Yep.
Once again,
Yep.
because you got too emotional and too caught up into the moment where you still couldn't rationalize and have enough discipline to still deal with that situation accordingly.
Mhm.
Didn't like what you see, you didn't like the response that he gave to you. So now what? I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna out
Mhm.
y'all.
Mhm.
Put you out yourself too.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if
Yeah,
you have
definitely.
anything you got to say before we, wrap it up, good brother, you can. It's time, good family.
Um, and to the men, I want to say, you know, if you with a woman that you're not comfortable with growing, that you're not comfortable with helping her in her dreams, that you're always concerned about her leaving you, then either you got issue within yourself, you're insecure within yourself, or you see something about her that does not look good. You know something about her that's not good for you. If you feel like or you see her movements and it look as though she'll leave you at any second, then you with the wrong person anyway.
Right.
You know,
No
and
doubt.
and don't get it confused with what you seeing. Also, don't get that confused with what you seeing other than something, because it could be you. See,
Mm,
it could be
right.
your own insecurities. I see a lot of men do that too. They'll think it's the woman because they insecure. So they'll
Mm-hmm.
think she gonna leave them because of their insecurities. So mental health, mental health issue. I think us as men, we also have more. I think we have more mental health issues, being that we play the tough role, so to speak. Men feel like
Mm,
we are supposed to have these kind of feelings. We feel like we supposed to be able to handle everything. So that's why I said men have more problems, I think, with mental health than women, because women will talk. They will let a lot of theirs out. They'll cry, they'll talk, call their homegirl, their mama, sisters.
mhm.
They gonna talk about that, about what's inside of them.
Right.
But see, men, what we do, we hold it in, which
Mhm.
is actually not a good thing.
No question.
You need to find you a brother, someone you can confide in, a strong man, a godly figure, someone you can confide in, brother. You know, I'm speaking for us as men. You know, you have to find
No
you
question.
someone to confide in, man. Someone with some wisdom, some knowledge, some understanding. Not anybody, but someone you know that can help you. Someone that's in
Right.
a position in life that does show themselves to be a man. You know, and maybe they can help you. You know what I'm saying? As far as finding yourself and getting your strength up, getting your courage up, getting yourself in a position of not being insecure, because you don't want to run off a good woman because of your own insecurities, you know, making her feel less than, or, or controlling her, or putting your hands on her, you know, doing things like that because of your own insecurities. And if you
Mhm.
got to do all that, if you got to put your hands on her, then either you got a problem or she got a problem, but guess what need to happen? You need to go. You need to
Question.
separate, no matter who it is. Because putting
Right.
hands on each other, that's gonna lead to, like the brother said, 80 years, man.
No doubt,
So
brother.
for us men, we need to honor and cherish these sisters, and we need to work together, man. We need to bring our minds together, our hearts together, and come up with solution to the problem that we have as a unit.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yes, sir. Woman is definitely the key. If we not equally yoked, how we gonna be able to agree? And our culture is definitely being affected by these things, like we said, in more ways than one. As we look each and every day, today we see a lot of men dealing with men, a lot of women dealing with women, a lot of bisexual activity, a lot of artificial activity.
Mhm.
People are kicking their face up with plastic,
Mhm.
putting plastic in the back ass of the asses, in the breasts, and
Mhm.
forces, etc. All right. We got one here. I'll tell you this here right now. You know, this is how far off we are as the people, brother. Mhm. It's
Boy, that's
unfortunate,
serious deal, man.
but
Whew.
it's the truth. You know,
Yes.
we have become dumbed down and become colonized in more ways than one. And
Mhm.
we want to believe that we supposed to be living this fairy tale type of lifestyle and relationship factor, but that's not really truly what our lifestyle really is. You know,
Mhm.
most of us in poverty. Most of
Mhm.
us really got to put the picture in the window throw out of. But we
Mhm.
want to live like that, like the Joneses, so to speak. Right?
Mhm.
We need to start back
Mhm.
getting realistic about who we are and what our conditions is.
Mhm.
A lot of us are sitting around like we are doing so much more than the next one, and I'm getting my bag up over this one, and we find ourselves competing with each other for no reason.
Uh-huh.
And we know it to be no reason why, because if we and none of us got no way yet.
Mhm.
Still the same broken culture. We still trying to figure out, still trying to come together.
Mhm.
Multiculturally broken, don't know which way to go.
Mhm.
That in itself, you know, it shows a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you have any final takes, my brother, you can share them if you want to, my dear brother.
Um, I'm with you, brother. You know, we just need to come together, man, and just strive to have understanding for each other. Strive to be concerned about each other mental health. Ask each other questions. How you feeling today, baby? You know, how you feeling, sister? How you feeling today, bro? Like, ask each other these things every day. What's on your mind? What's on your mind? You know, watch some things educational together. You know, watch some things educational together. You know, check us out. We out here. We hey,
Right,
check us out.
right,
We
right.
we we
No
we got
question.
something for you to watch. We gonna bring what we can. You know.
Absolutely, definitely, exactly. If you all definitely want to tune in to the Bilderberg Music Group as well as the Inner Circle podcast, you can definitely leave us a message in the comment section, or you can message us, and we definitely reach out to you all. We definitely have a lot of different resolutions and solutions that we can give you all as remedies to help you heal. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely some brothers and sisters out here who are of substance, those who are definitely striving to go in the right direction,
Mm-hmm.
and through us all, we're able to help build one another. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Me and this good brother here, like you afraid, each one teach one. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Together, we can go further.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to keep all those type of things in mind. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yes, sir, brother. It's always great, man, building with you. You know, coming in here, chiming in with me, being my host, my brothers really appreciate it for surely. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Thank you, my brother. Same to you, brother. Thank you.
yes, sir,
I'm
no
definitely.
question, my brother. Absolutely. As well as the everyone listening in, we do send our peace and love out to you all. We do hope everyone remains at peace. Continue to keep yourself safe out there. I don't know if you all are familiar with what's going on with the weather, but if you're in the Midwestern regions all the way to the southern regions up north, to the northeast, we're all being threatened by this weather.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are going on with that also. That will be for
Mm-hmm.
another time period. This will be a whole nother podcast, and we start digging into that type of science. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to ask that you all take all the measurements which you require, not only to protect yourself but also your family.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm your co-host Kareem Bay. They also go by the name of Forever B.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here with my co-host Prince Bay, who also go by the name of Prince Lawyer.
True
Do
indeed.
thank you all. And until next time, family, we do send our peace and love
Peace
out to you all. Peace to you as well,
and
my
love.
brother. DG.
Peace and love.